I'm thrilled to announce that she and I are taking a romantic weekend trip together.
Oh my gosh, did you see his face? I can't believe she's doing this to him.
It's midnight, and I'm in the back alley of my restaurant, fixing the POS system with a butter knife and a prayer, when my daughter's angry voice cuts through the kitchen window like a serrated blade. "You're a joke, Dad. Mom says you peaked before Instagram existed." Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I laugh bitterly into the cold New England air. At least the rats scurrying around the dumpster show me some respect. They don't judge a man for trying to keep his dream alive with duct tape and determination. My name is Michael Foster, and I own the Copper Kettle, the kind of place where locals come for comfort food and tourists stumble upon by accident. Ashfield isn't exactly a culinary destination. It's one of those mid-sized cities that peaked sometime in the 1980s and has been coasting on faded glory ever since. Old mill buildings converted into trendy lofts, a downtown that tries too hard to be hip, and neighborhoods where working-class folks like me still believe in earning an honest living. The kitchen door slams, and I hear 17-year-old Chloe stomping upstairs to her room. My wife Tessa's voice drifts down, smooth and patronizing. "Don't mind your father, honey. He's just going through a phase." A phase. 23 years of marriage, and she calls my struggle to keep our family business afloat a phase. I stuff the butter knife back in my pocket and head inside, my boots echoing on the worn linoleum floor. Tessa's sitting at our kitchen table, laptop open, designer glasses perched on her nose. She works for Morrison & Associates, the most prestigious marketing firm in town, and never lets me forget it. Her auburn hair is perfectly styled even at midnight, her manicured nails clicking against the keys as she types. "Working late again?" I ask, grabbing a beer from the fridge. She doesn't look up. Grant and I are preparing a presentation for the Whitmore account. It's worth $2 million, Michael. Some of us have to think about our future. Grant Whitford. The name makes my jaw clench. He's Ashfield's golden boy, a celebrity chef turned food critic who writes for the regional magazine and consults for upscale restaurants. Everything I'm not. Polished, connected, successful. He's also been spending an awful lot of time with my wife lately. "How's the restaurant?" Tessa asks, finally glancing up. Her tone suggests she already knows the answer and finds it disappointing. "Same as always. Honest work for honest pay." She snorts. "Honest work doesn't pay for Chloe's college applications or fix the roof or buy you those $500 shoes you're wearing." Her face hardens. "I earn my money, Michael. I don't beg the bank for extensions every month." The words hit like a punch to the gut because they're true. The Copper Kettle is hemorrhaging money. The pandemic nearly eliminated us, and we're still struggling to recover. But it's my life's work, the dream I built from nothing when Tessa and I were young and stupid in love. I drain my beer and head for the stairs. "I'm going to bed." "Don't wait up," she calls after me. "I'll be working until dawn." In our bedroom, I lie awake listening to her fingers dancing across the keyboard downstairs. Working, right, at midnight, with Grant. The next morning, I'm at Ray's gym by 6 a.m., pounding my frustrations into a heavy bag. Ray Boxer Sullivan runs the place, a former cop who traded his badge for boxing gloves after taking early retirement. The gym smells like sweat, leather, and broken dreams, which suits my mood perfectly. "You're hitting like a man with problems," Ray observes, holding the bag steady. He's built like a fire hydrant, all muscle and attitude, with graying hair and scars that tell stories. "Marriage problems," I grunt between punches. "The worst kind. What's she doing?" "Working late, a lot, with some pretty boy food critic." Ray nods knowingly. "You want my advice? Do I have a choice?" When a woman starts working late with another man, she's not working. And when she stops caring if you notice, she's already gone. I stop punching. Thanks for the pep talk, coach. Hey, I'm not saying give up. I'm saying open your eyes. You want to win a fight? You got to see the punches coming. That afternoon, I'm prepping vegetables for the dinner rush when my phone buzzes. A notification from AirDrop. Chloe's iPhone wants to share a photo. I accept it without thinking. Big mistake. The image loads slowly. It's Tessa and Grant at the Riverside Inn, Ashfield's fanciest hotel. They're not discussing marketing strategies. Grant's hand is on her thigh, her head is tilted back in laughter, and they're looking at each other like teenagers in love. My hands shake as I stare at the screen. The timestamp shows yesterday, 2:30 p.m. Right when Tessa texted me that she was stuck in meetings all afternoon. I forward the photo to my personal email and delete it from my phone. Then I call Chloe. Dad? She sounds surprised. We don't talk much these days. Did you mean to send me that photo? Long pause. What photo? You know what photo. Another pause. Longer this time. I'm sorry, Dad. I thought you should know. How long? I don't know. A few months? I saw them at Starbucks in March and they were close. Really close. March, 3 months ago. While I was working 16-hour days trying to save the restaurant, my wife was playing house with Grant Whitford. Are you okay? Chloe asks, and for the first time in months, she sounds like my little girl again. I'm fine, sweetheart. Thanks for telling me. But I'm not fine. I'm the opposite of fine. That evening, Tessa comes home with takeout from Meridian, Grant's upscale restaurant downtown. The irony isn't lost on me. How was your day? She asks, setting the expensive containers on our kitchen table. Interesting. How was yours? Exhausting. Grant and I spent hours going over the Whitmore presentation. He's such a perfectionist. I bet he is. Where did you work? Your office? She doesn't miss a beat. The conference room at Morrison. Why? Just curious. We eat in silence, the lies hanging between us like smoke. When she goes upstairs to shower, I check her laptop. Password protected, of course. But I know Tessa. She uses the same password for everything. Chloe 2006, our daughter's name and birth year. Bingo. Her email reveals everything. Hotel reservations, romantic texts, plans for a weekend getaway. And most damning of all, an email thread with her sister discussing when to tell Michael and how to minimize the financial impact of divorce. They're not just having an affair, they're planning my destruction. I screenshot everything and email it to myself from her account, then delete the sent message. If Tessa wants to play games, I'll show her what a real player looks like. The next week is torture. Tessa continues her charade, kissing me goodbye each morning and lying about her whereabouts each night. I play along, biding my time, gathering evidence. I hire a private investigator, a guy Ray knows from his cop days. The photos he provides are devastating. Tessa and Grant holding hands at the farmer's market, kissing in his car, entering his apartment building together. But it's the social media evidence that really stings. Tessa's Instagram, which I rarely check, is full of subtle hints. Photos of expensive meals with captions like, business dinners with the most inspiring people. Pictures of her hand holding a wine glass, with a man's hand visible in the background. Comments from her friends that now make sickening sense. You look so happy lately, and new love looks good on you. The final straw comes on a Thursday night, Ashfield's annual charity gala, the social event of the year. Tessa insists I attend as her supportive husband. She's wearing a new dress that costs more than most people's rent, and she looks stunning. For a moment, I remember why I fell in love with her 23 years ago. The gala is held at the Ashfield Country Club, where the town's elite gather to pat themselves on the back for their generosity. I feel like a fraud in my rented tuxedo, surrounded by people who measure worth in stock portfolios and vacation homes. Grant is there, of course, holding court near the bar. He's everything I'm not. Tall, silver-haired, sophisticated. He wears his success like a perfectly tailored suit, and everyone gravitates toward him like moths to flame. Michael. He approaches with a predatory smile. Great to see you. How's the restaurant business? Surviving, I reply, shaking his hand and resisting the urge to break his fingers. That's the spirit. You know, if you ever want some consulting advice, I'd be happy to help. Tessa's told me so much about your challenges. The condescension drips from his voice like honey from a broken jar. Behind him, Tessa watches nervously. That's generous, I say, but I prefer to solve my own problems. Of course, independence is admirable, even when it's limiting. The conversation continues, each word a carefully placed knife wound. Grant mentions the wonderful collaboration he has with Tessa, the long hours they spend together, the bright future ahead of them. Tessa stands beside him, saying nothing, but her body language speaks volumes. Then comes the moment that changes everything. The auction begins, and Grant bids aggressively on a weekend getaway to Martha's Vineyard. When he wins, he turns to the crowd with a triumphant smile. I can't wait to enjoy this with someone very special, he announces, his eyes finding Tessa. Someone who's brought new meaning to my life. The crowd applauds politely, but I see the knowing looks, the whispered conversations. Everyone knows except the fool in the rented tuxedo. Tessa's face flushes red, but she doesn't deny it. Instead, she raises her champagne glass in a toast. To new beginnings, she says, her voice carrying across the room. Grant clinks his glass against hers, and they share a look that's intimate and unmistakable. Around us, people pretend not to notice, but the message is clear. Michael Foster is yesterday's news. I set down my drink and walk out, leaving them to their moment of triumph. But as I push through the country club doors into the cool night air, I'm not defeated. I'm angry. And anger, I'm about to learn, is a powerful motivator. In the parking lot, I spot Grant's pristine BMW. It's parked under a streetlight, gleaming like a trophy. I look around. No security cameras, no witnesses. Just me and the symbol of everything Grant represents. I pull out my keys and drag them along the driver's side door, leaving a deep scratch from headlight to taillight. Then I move to the passenger side and repeat the process. For good measure, I snap off the side mirror and stuff it under the car. As I'm walking away, my phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Saw what you did to the car. Smile for the camera. Attached is a photo of me vandalizing Grant's BMW, taken from an upstairs window of the country club. Below it, another message. This is going straight to your wife. Enjoy explaining yourself. I look up at the building and see a figure in one of the windows, Mrs. Henderson, the neighborhood busybody who never misses a chance to spread gossip. She waves mockingly and disappears from view. My phone rings immediately. Tessa. What the hell did you do? She screams before I can say hello. I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. Mrs. Henderson just sent me photos of you destroying Grant's car like some kind of psychopath. Maybe Grant should be more careful where he parks. This is insane, Michael. You're embarrassing yourself and our family. Our family? Is that what we're calling it now? Silence on the other end, then, we'll talk about this at home. She hangs up, and I'm left standing in the parking lot with the weight of my actions settling on my shoulders. I've crossed a line tonight, and there's no going back. But as I drive home through Ashfield's empty streets, I'm not filled with regret. I'm filled with purpose. If Tessa and Grant want to humiliate me publicly, I'll show them what real humiliation looks like. The war has begun, and I intend to win. I'm sitting at my kitchen table at 3 a.m., staring at the evidence spread before me like a crime scene investigation. Photos, emails, credit card statements, hotel receipts, the complete documentation of my wife's betrayal. The house is silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of old wood settling. Tessa never came home after the gala. Her absence speaks louder than any confession. My phone buzzes. A text from her. Staying at my sister's tonight. We need space to think. I laugh out loud. Space to think or space to celebrate with Grant? I text back. Take all the space you need. I'll be here thinking too. The next morning, I'm at the restaurant early, channeling my rage into prep work. Chopping onions has never been so therapeutic. My sous chef, Danny, watches me with concern. Boss, you're dicing those onions like they owe you money. Maybe they do, I mutter, not looking up. Ray appears in the kitchen doorway, coffee in hand. He often stops by after his morning run, and I'm grateful for the company. Heard there was some excitement at the country club last night, he says, settling onto a stool. News travels fast in this town, especially when it involves keyed BMWs and public humiliation. Want to talk about it? I set down my knife and face him. She's leaving me, Ray, for Grant Whitford. I figured as much. What's your play? I don't have one yet. Bullshit. You've got that look in your eyes, the same one you had when the health inspector tried to shut us down last year. You're planning something. He's right. I am planning something. But first, I need more information. That afternoon, I drive to Grant's restaurant, Meridian. It's everything the Copper Kettle isn't. Sleek, modern, expensive. The kind of place where people pay $50 for deconstructed comfort food and pretend to enjoy it. I don't go inside. Instead, I park across the street and wait. Sure enough, at 2:30 p.m., Tessa's Mercedes pulls into the valet area. She emerges looking radiant, wearing a dress I've never seen before. Grant meets her at the entrance, and they embrace like lovers, reuniting after a long separation. It's been less than 18 hours since I saw them at the gala. They disappear inside, and I sit in my truck, feeling like a private investigator in a bad movie. But this isn't entertainment. This is my life disintegrating in real time. An hour later, they emerge, walking close together toward the parking garage. I follow at a distance, my heart pounding with a mixture of rage and anticipation. The parking garage is dimly lit and mostly empty. Perfect. I watch them get into Grant's car, a replacement for the BMW I vandalized, apparently. They sit talking for several minutes, and I can see them clearly through the windshield. Grant leans over and kisses her, long and passionate. Tessa responds eagerly, running her fingers through his silver hair. I take photos with my phone, the flash disabled. Evidence for later. But I'm not content to just watch. I want them to know they're being observed. I walk up to the car and tap on the driver's side window. Grant jumps like he's been electrocuted. Tessa's face goes white when she sees me. Grant rolls down the window, trying to maintain his composure. Michael, what a surprise. I bet it is. Having a nice lunch? We were discussing business, Tessa says, her voice shaky. Is that what we're calling it now? I lean down to Grant's eye level. You know, Grant, I've been thinking about your offer to help with my restaurant. Maybe we should schedule a consultation. Of course, any time. How about right now? I've got some ideas about customer service that might interest you. Grant's face hardens. Perhaps we should schedule something more formal. Oh, this is formal enough. I straighten up and smile. Enjoy the rest of your business meeting. I walk away, leaving them to process what just happened. In my truck, I watch them have what appears to be a heated conversation. Tessa gestures angrily, Grant shakes his head, and finally, they drive away in opposite directions. My phone rings immediately. Tessa. What the hell was that? She demands. Just being neighborly, saying hello to my wife and her business partner. You're acting like a stalker, Michael. This has to stop. What has to stop? Me caring about my wife's whereabouts? Me being concerned about her working such long hours with her handsome colleague? You know exactly what I mean. Actually, I don't. Why don't you come home and explain it to me? She hangs up without answering. That evening, Tessa finally returns home. She finds me in the living room, watching television and eating takeout from Wong's Garden, the Chinese place down the street. "We need to talk," she says, standing in the doorway like she's afraid to enter her own home. "I'm listening." She sits on the opposite end of the couch, maintaining distance. "This isn't working, Michael. We both know it." "What isn't working?" "Our marriage. We've grown apart. We want different things." "Such as?" "I want a future. I want success, stability, growth. You want to cling to the past. I want to honor the commitments I made. To you, to our daughter, to the life we built together. The life we built is falling apart." Her voice rises. "The restaurant is failing, we're drowning in debt, and you refuse to adapt or change or even acknowledge reality." "And Grant Whitford is reality?" She flinches like I've slapped her. Grant understands ambition. He knows what it takes to succeed in today's world. He knows what it takes to steal another man's wife. Nobody stole anything, Michael. I made a choice. The words hang between us like a blade. She's admitted it finally. No more pretense, no more lies about business meetings and late-night work sessions. "When?" I ask. "When what?" "When did you decide our marriage was over? When did you choose him?" She looks away. "It wasn't one moment. It was gradual. We started talking, really talking, about dreams and goals and possibilities. He made me remember who I used to be before I got trapped in this small-town mediocrity. Trapped. That's what you call 23 years of marriage? A trap? I call it settling. We both settled, Michael. We got married too young, had Chloe too soon, and built a life based on what we thought we were supposed to want instead of what we actually wanted. And what do you actually want? More than this." She gestures around our modest living room, at the worn furniture and family photos and accumulated debris of 2 decades together. "More than struggling to pay bills and pretending everything is fine when it's not." I set down my chopsticks and face her fully. "So, you're leaving?" "Yes." "For Grant?" "For myself. Grant he's part of my future. But this is about me choosing to stop accepting less than I deserve." "And what about Chloe?" "Chloe will understand eventually. She's almost 18. She needs to see that people can change, can grow, can make hard choices for the right reasons. The right reasons. Like adultery and betrayal. Like honesty and courage." I laugh, and the sound is bitter even to my own ears. "Honesty? You've been lying to me for months. Courage? You've been sneaking around behind my back instead of having this conversation when it mattered. I was trying to spare your feelings. No, you were trying to have your cake and eat it too. Keep the security of marriage while exploring your options with Grant. But you got caught, and now you're rewriting history to make yourself the hero." Her face flushes red. "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly. You're a coward and a cheat, and you're trying to dress it up as personal growth." She stands abruptly. "I don't have to listen to this." "Actually, you do. This is still my house, and we're still married, and you owe me more than corporate buzzwords and self-help psychology." "Fine. You want brutal honesty? Here it is. I stopped loving you years ago. I stopped respecting you when you gave up on your dreams and settled for managing a failing restaurant. I stopped being attracted to you when you started acting like a victim instead of a man." The words hit like physical blows, but I don't flinch. "Feel better?" "Actually, yes. I should have said this a long time ago." "Anything else you want to get off your chest?" "Grant makes me feel alive again. He sees potential in me that you stopped seeing years ago. He challenges me, inspires me, makes me want to be better. And he's rich. That's not..." "It's not what? Not relevant? Not part of the appeal? Come on, Tessa. If Grant was a struggling restaurant owner, would you be having this conversation?" She doesn't answer, which is answer enough. "I want a divorce. she says finally. I figured. When? I'm filing next week. I've already talked to a lawyer. Of course she has. While I was trying to save our marriage, she was planning its funeral. What about the restaurant? That's between you and the lawyers. And Chloe, she'll choose for herself. She's not a child anymore. But she is still our child, and Tessa's casual dismissal of that responsibility reveals more about her character than any affair could. After she goes upstairs, I sit alone in the living room processing the conversation. Part of me feels relieved that the pretense is over, but mostly I feel angry, not just at Tessa, but at myself for being so blind, so trusting, so pathetically naive. I pull out my phone and scroll through my contacts until I find Elena Whitford, Grant's wife. We've met a few times at community events. She's a quiet, elegant woman who teaches piano and volunteers at the animal shelter. If anyone deserves to know the truth, it's her. I compose a text. Elena, this is Michael Foster, Tessa's husband. I think we should talk. It's about our spouses. I send it before I can change my mind. The response comes within minutes. I was wondering when you'd reach out. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., Riverside Park? So she knows, or suspects. Either way, I'm not alone in this anymore. The next day, I meet Elena at the park where Chloe used to play when she was little. Elena is sitting on a bench near the playground, feeding ducks with breadcrumbs. She's in her mid-40s, with graying brown hair and kind eyes that look tired. Thank you for coming, I say, settling beside her. I should thank you. I've been waiting for someone else to acknowledge what's happening. How long have you known? Suspected? 6 months? Known for certain? 3 weeks. I hired a private investigator. She pulls out her phone and shows me photos that mirror my own evidence collection. Grant and Tessa at restaurants, hotels, walking hand in hand through Boston Common. What are you going to do? I ask. I've already done it. Filed for divorce, moved out, started the asset protection process. Grant doesn't know yet. He thinks I'm visiting my sister in Vermont. Smart. Necessary. Grant is charming and successful, but he's also ruthless. If I hadn't acted first, he would have left me with nothing. We sit in comfortable silence, watching the ducks paddle around the pond. Are you angry? Elena asks. Furious. You? Beyond angry, I'm humiliated. We've been married for 15 years, and he threw it away for your wife like I was disposable. They deserve each other. Maybe. But they don't deserve to get away with it. I look at her carefully. What do you mean? I mean they've humiliated us publicly, destroyed our families, and acted like their feelings justify everything. Maybe it's time they faced some consequences. What kind of consequences? Elena smiles, and for the first time since I've known her, she looks dangerous. The kind that hurt, professionally, socially, financially, the kind that make them understand what they've done to other people. I'm listening. Grant's restaurant depends on his reputation. One bad review in the wrong publication, one health department complaint, one rumor about his business practices. That's playing dirty. They played dirty first. I'm just suggesting we level the playing field. She's right. I've been playing defense while they've been on the attack. Time to change strategies. What did you have in mind? Elena pulls out a folder from her purse. Grant's been cutting corners at Meridian. Expired ingredients, understaffed kitchen, safety violations. I have documentation of everything. I used to help with his books. And one anonymous tip to the health department, and Meridian gets shut down for a week, maybe 2, during peak season. That's thorough. I've had time to plan. What about Tessa? What about her? Her job depends on her reputation too. Adultery with a client might be frowned upon by her employers. I consider this. Morrison and Associates is old school, family-oriented, conservative. An affair with a client would definitely be career damaging. You want to destroy them. I want them to face consequences for their actions. Right now, they think they're winning. They're getting everything they want while we suffer in silence. And if we do this, then they learn that actions have consequences, and maybe we get some justice. I think about Tessa's cruel words last night, about Grant's condescending smile, about the humiliation I felt at the country club. Elena is offering me a chance to fight back, to stop being a victim. I'm in, I say. Elena nods and hands me the folder. Then let's give them something to really worry about. As I drive home, I feel something I haven't felt in months. Hope. Not hope for reconciliation. That ship has sailed, but hope for justice. Hope for consequences. Hope that maybe, just maybe, the good guys can win sometimes. Tessa's car isn't in the driveway when I arrive. Probably with Grant, celebrating their honesty and courage. But when she comes home tonight, she's going to find a very different husband waiting for her. The war is about to begin in earnest. The health department shows up at Meridian on a Tuesday morning, right in the middle of breakfast prep. I'm parked across the street, sipping coffee and watching the show through my truck window. Elena's intelligence was perfect. They find everything she promised they would: expired dairy products, improper food storage temperatures, a dishwasher that hasn't been serviced in 8 months. By noon, there's a "closed by order of Ashfield Health Department" sign taped to the front door. Grant emerges looking like he's aged 5 years in 5 hours. He stands on the sidewalk, phone pressed to his ear, gesturing angrily at the building. I roll down my window and can hear fragments of his conversation. Completely unexpected, never had problems before. Someone did, Grant. Someone who knows exactly where you cut corners to maximize profits. My phone buzzes with a text from Elena. Phase 1 complete. How did Morrison and Associates respond to your email? I sent the anonymous tip about Tessa's affair yesterday, complete with photos and documentation. The response came this morning. Tessa Foster has been placed on administrative leave, pending an internal investigation into professional conduct violations. I text back. Phase 1, successful on both fronts. Phase 2 tonight? Absolutely. Phase 2 is more personal. Tonight is the Ashfield Chamber of Commerce dinner, where local business leaders gather to network and pat each other on the back. Grant was supposed to be the keynote speaker, discussing innovation in local hospitality. Obviously, that's not happening now, but Tessa will be there, representing Morrison and Associates despite her suspension. She won't want to miss the social event of the month, especially now that she needs to manage her reputation. I arrive at the Riverside Inn, the same hotel where Grant and Tessa had their romantic rendezvous, wearing my best suit and a smile that doesn't reach my eyes. The ballroom is packed with Ashfield's elite, the same crowd that witnessed my humiliation at the charity gala. Tessa is holding court near the bar, damage control in full swing. She's telling anyone who will listen that her suspension is a misunderstanding and that she's confident it will be resolved quickly. Her body language screams desperation, but she's maintaining her composure. For now. I approach the group casually, nodding to familiar faces. Michael! Tom Morrison, Tessa's boss, extends his hand. Good to see you. How's the restaurant business? Surviving and thriving, Tom. Thanks for asking. I glance at Tessa, whose face has gone pale. I hear there's been some excitement at your office lately. Tom's expression tightens. Nothing we can't handle. Sometimes employees need reminders about professional boundaries. Professional boundaries are so important, I agree. Trust is the foundation of any successful business relationship. Tessa excuses herself and walks away, but not before shooting me a look that could melt steel. I follow at a discreet distance. She's in the hotel lobby, phone pressed to her ear. Grant, I need you here. Michael he's saying things, implying things. People are starting to ask questions. I can't hear Grant's response, but Tessa's face crumples. What do you mean you can't come? It's just a health department thing, right? You said it would be resolved in a day or two. More conversation then? Fine. I'll handle it myself. But we need to talk about our timeline. Things are moving faster than we planned. She hangs up and notices me watching from across the lobby. Enjoying yourself? She asks, walking over. It's a lovely evening. Great turnout. Cut the crap, Michael. I know what you're doing. I'm attending a community event, supporting local business, being a good citizen. You're sabotaging me and Grant. I'm not sure what you mean. The health department complaint, the anonymous tip to my office, the whisper campaign. Those are serious accusations, Tessa. Do you have any proof? Her hands clench into fists. I don't need proof. I know you. Apparently, you don't know me as well as you thought. We stare at each other across the hotel lobby, 23 years of marriage reduced to mutual antagonism. This won't work, she says finally. You can't destroy my life just because you're angry about the divorce. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just illuminating, shining light on behavior that was previously hidden. You're being vindictive and petty. I'm being honest. You said honesty was important, remember? She turns and walks back toward the ballroom, but I'm not done yet. Tessa, I call after her. She stops but doesn't turn around. Give Grant my regards. Tell him I hope his restaurant reopens soon. It would be a shame if his reputation suffered any permanent damage. Now she turns, her face twisted with rage. You bastard! Careful, people might hear you. She storms off, leaving me alone in the lobby with a sense of satisfaction I haven't felt in months. The evening gets better from there. Word of Grant's health department troubles spreads through the dinner crowd like wildfire. People who were kissing his ass last month are now whispering about poor management and cutting corners. Tessa's suspension becomes common knowledge, and the speculation about her professional misconduct grows more salacious with each retelling. By the time I leave, both of their reputations have taken significant damage. But I'm just getting started. The next morning, I'm at Ray's gym, working out my aggression on the heavy bag. You look different, Ray observes. More focused. I feel different, like I've been sleepwalking for months and finally woke up. What's your next move? I'm not sure yet, but Elena and I are meeting this afternoon to discuss strategy. Elena? Grant's wife, soon-to-be ex-wife. We're collaborating. Ray raises an eyebrow. Be careful, Mike. Revenge is a dangerous game. Sometimes you win the battle but lose the war. What war? My marriage is over. My wife chose another man. The only question now is whether I go down quietly or take them with me. And Chloe, what does she think about all this? That stops me cold. In my focus on punishing Tessa and Grant, I haven't considered how this affects our daughter. She's 17. She'll understand when she's older. Will she? Or will she remember that her father destroyed her mother's life out of spite? Her mother destroyed our family. I'm just making sure there are consequences. Ray shakes his head. Just remember, revenge is like fire. It burns everything it touches, including the person holding the torch. That afternoon, Elena and I meet at a coffee shop on the other side of town, away from prying eyes. She looks energized, almost glowing with purpose. The health department closure is already costing Grant thousands, she reports. His investors are asking questions, and 2 of his biggest clients have canceled events. Good. What about the divorce proceedings? Moving forward. My lawyer says I'll get the house, half his assets, and substantial alimony. Grant's adultery makes his position very weak. And Tessa? Still suspended. I hear Morrison is considering termination. Adultery with a client violates their ethics policy. We sit in comfortable silence, savoring our victories. You know, Elena says, I never thanked you properly. For what? For reaching out, for confirming what I suspected, for giving me the courage to act. You would have figured it out eventually. Maybe. But you accelerated the timeline. You made me realize I didn't have to suffer in silence. We both deserved better. Yes, we did. And now they're getting what they deserve. Elena reaches across the table and touches my hand. I know this sounds crazy, but I feel more alive now than I have in years. Fighting back, taking control, it's intoxicating. I understand what she means. For months, I felt powerless, watching my marriage disintegrate while Tessa and Grant called the shots. Now I'm in control of the narrative. What's next? I ask. Elena smiles, and there's something predatory in her expression. I've been thinking about that. Grant's restaurant is closed, but he still has his consulting business and his magazine column. What if those disappeared too? How? I have access to his client files, his contracts, his correspondence. What if his clients learned about his professional indiscretions? What if the magazine discovered he's been taking kickbacks from restaurants he reviews? Has he been taking kickbacks? Probably not, but I can make it look like he has. A few doctored emails, some suspicious bank deposits, an anonymous tip to his editor. That's fraud. It's justice. He destroyed our marriages for his own gratification. Why shouldn't his career suffer the same fate? She has a point. Grant and Tessa have been playing by their own rules, ignoring the damage they cause to everyone else. Maybe it's time they learned what consequences feel like. What about Tessa? What about her? She's already lost her job, her reputation, and her marriage. Isn't that enough? Not even close. Elena studies my face. What else do you have in mind? She wants a divorce? Fine, but she's not getting half of everything. The restaurant is mine. I built it from nothing while she climbed the corporate ladder. The house is in my name. Most of our assets are tied up in the business. Can you protect them? I'm already working on it. Asset transfers, business restructuring, creative accounting. By the time her lawyers figure out what I've done, there won't be much left to split. That's impressive. I learned from the best. Tessa taught me that success requires ruthlessness. I'm just applying her lessons. We spend the next hour planning Grant's professional destruction. Elena provides inside information, and I suggest implementation strategies. By the time we part ways, Grant Whitford's career is as doomed as his marriage. That evening, Chloe calls while I'm closing the restaurant. Dad, we need to talk. I'm listening. Not on the phone. Can you pick me up? I'm at Mom's sister's house. 20 minutes later, Chloe slides into my truck looking older than her 17 years. She's inherited Tessa's beauty but my stubborn streak, a dangerous combination. Mom says you're trying to destroy her life, she begins without preamble. Your mother made choices. I'm just making sure those choices have consequences. By getting her fired, by ruining Grant's restaurant, by telling the truth. Everything that's happened to them is the result of their own actions. You're being vindictive. I'm being honest. There's a difference. Chloe stares out the window as we drive through downtown Ashfield. I used to think you were the good guy in this story. What changed your mind? You did. The man I respected would have handled this with dignity. He would have been hurt, but he wouldn't have become cruel. Her words sting because they echo Ray's warning. But I'm too far down this path to turn back now. Your mother and Grant humiliated me publicly. They destroyed our family for their own selfish desires. They deserve everything that's happening to them. And what about me? Do I deserve to watch my parents destroy each other? That stops me. In my focus on punishing Tessa and Grant, I've forgotten about the collateral damage. I'm sorry you're caught in the middle of this. Are you? Because it seems like you're enjoying it. She's right. I am enjoying it. For the first time in months, I feel powerful instead of pathetic. Sometimes good people have to do hard things, I say finally. Or sometimes hurt people, and they tell themselves it's justice. Chloe gets out at the next red light and walks away without another word. I watch her disappear into the crowd, wondering if I've lost my daughter along with everything else. But it's too late for second thoughts. The war has begun, and I intend to win it, even if it costs me everything. 2 weeks later, Grant's world has completely collapsed. The health department closure was just the beginning. Anonymous tips to his magazine editor, complete with fabricated evidence of kickbacks and ethical violations, cost him his column. His consulting clients, spooked by rumors of professional misconduct, terminated their contracts. His investors pulled out of a planned restaurant expansion. In 14 days, Grant Whitford went from rising culinary star to industry pariah. Elena and I meet at our usual coffee shop to survey the damage. She's practically glowing with satisfaction. His lawyer called yesterday, she reports. Grant wants to negotiate a settlement. He's desperate to avoid a public trial. What did you tell him? That I'll consider it. For full custody of our assets, plus punitive damages for emotional distress. He'll never agree to that. He will when his reputation gets worse. I have more evidence to release, photos, emails, financial records. By the time I'm done, he'll be unemployable in this industry. Elena's transformation has been remarkable. The quiet, elegant piano teacher has become a ruthless strategist, dismantling her husband's life with surgical precision. I'm impressed and slightly intimidated. What about Tessa? She asks. Morrison and Associates terminated her yesterday, officially for violation of professional ethics standards, but everyone knows it's because of the affair. And the divorce? She's fighting for half of everything, but there's not much left to split. I've been creative with asset management. Creative how? The restaurant is now technically owned by a shell company. The house has a massive lien against it for business expenses. Our joint accounts have been depleted by emergency repairs and equipment purchases. Is that legal? It's creative. My lawyer says it's defensible as long as I can document legitimate business expenses. And can you? With enough creativity, anything is a legitimate business expense. Elena laughs, and the sound is sharp and bright. We make a good team. We do. She reaches across the table and takes my hand. I've been thinking about what comes next. After the divorces are final, after Grant and Tessa get what they deserve. What do you mean? I mean us, this partnership. It doesn't have to end just because our revenge is complete. I study her face, trying to read her expression. Elena is attractive in an understated way, intelligent, sophisticated, dangerous. Under different circumstances, I might be interested. But right now, I'm not sure I'm capable of trusting anyone. Elena, I know it's complicated, but we understand each other. We've been through something together. That creates a bond. It creates shared trauma. That's not the same thing as compatibility. Her face flushes slightly. I thought you might feel the same way. I feel grateful for your help, and I respect what you've accomplished, but I'm not ready for whatever this is. She withdraws her hand, and I can see I've hurt her feelings. Of course, I'm sorry for presuming. Don't apologize. In another time, another situation, but not now. Not now. We finish our coffee in awkward silence, the easy camaraderie of the past few weeks suddenly strained. That evening, I'm at the restaurant doing inventory when Tessa appears in the kitchen doorway. She looks terrible, hollow-eyed, thin, defeated. The confident woman who left me for Grant has been replaced by someone broken. We need to talk, she says. I'm listening. Not here, somewhere private. This is private enough. She steps into the kitchen, moving carefully like she's afraid I might attack her. I want to call a truce. A truce? This war between us, it's destroying everything. Our daughter won't speak to either of us. Our friends are choosing sides. The whole town is talking about us like we're a soap opera. Actions have consequences, Tessa. You taught me that. I made mistakes. I hurt you, and I'm sorry. But what you've done to me, to Grant, it's gone too far. Has it? Let's see. You committed adultery, destroyed our marriage, humiliated me publicly, and planned to take half of everything I've worked for. In response, I made sure there were consequences for your choices. Seems proportional to me. Proportional? You destroyed Grant's career. You cost me my job. You've turned our daughter against both of us. I told the truth. Everything that happened to you and Grant was the result of your own actions being exposed. You manipulated the situation. You orchestrated our destruction. I leveled the playing field. For months, you had all the power while I suffered in ignorance. Now you know how it feels to be helpless. Tessa slumps against the prep counter, and for a moment, she looks like the young woman I fell in love with 23 years ago. I loved him, she says quietly. I know you don't believe me, but it wasn't just about money or status. I genuinely thought Grant and I had something special. He's not handling the pressure well. When things were going smoothly, when he was successful and confident, he was everything I thought I wanted. But now that he's struggling, he's become someone else. Angry, paranoid, desperate. So you're having second thoughts? I'm having realistic thoughts. Grant and I don't have a future anymore. His career is destroyed, his reputation is ruined, and he blames me for all of it. Does he? How interesting. He says I should have been more discreet, that I should have managed the situation better, that if I hadn't gotten caught, none of this would have happened. Classic Grant. Taking responsibility has never been his strong suit. Tessa looks at me with something approaching her old affection. You're enjoying this. I'm enjoying justice. There's a difference. Is there? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've become someone I don't recognize. Someone cruel and calculating. I became someone who fights back. You preferred me as a victim? I preferred you as a man with integrity. Integrity doesn't protect you from people who have none. We stare at each other across the kitchen, 23 years of shared history reduced to mutual recrimination. What do you want, Tessa? I want to end this. The divorce, the fighting, the revenge. I want us to find a way to be civil for Chloe's sake. What are you proposing? I'll accept a minimal settlement. The house, a small portion of the restaurant's value, enough to start over somewhere else. In exchange, you stop the campaign against Grant. Why would I do that? Because Chloe is watching. Because this is destroying her as much as it's destroying us. Because maybe, somewhere inside, you still remember loving me. I consider her offer. Grant's career is already ruined. Continuing to attack him would be overkill. And Chloe has been the real casualty in this war. I'll think about it. Thank you. She turns to leave, then stops. Michael, for what it's worth, I am sorry. Not for leaving. I think we both know our marriage was over long before Grant appeared. But for how I handled it, for the lying and the betrayal. You deserved better. After she's gone, I sit alone in my kitchen, processing the conversation. Tessa's apology felt genuine and her proposal makes sense, but accepting it would mean acknowledging that my revenge campaign has gone too far. The next morning, I'm at Ray's gym, working through my confusion with the heavy bag. You look conflicted, Ray observes. Tessa wants to end the war. She's offering a minimal divorce settlement in exchange for me backing off. That's generous. What's the catch? No catch. She's beaten, and she knows it. Grant's career is destroyed, her reputation is ruined, and Chloe won't speak to either of them. So you won. I won. Then why do you look miserable? That's the question I've been avoiding. I achieved everything I set out to do. Tessa and Grant faced consequences for their actions, justice was served, and I proved I wasn't a victim. So why do I feel empty instead of victorious? Chloe hasn't spoken to me in 2 weeks, I admit. Because of the revenge campaign? Because of who I became during the revenge campaign. She says I'm cruel and calculating. Are you? I did what was necessary. That's not what I asked. Ray holds the bag steady while I work out my frustration. You know what the difference is between justice and revenge? Enlighten me. Justice restores balance. Revenge creates more imbalance. Justice heals wounds. Revenge creates new ones. So you think I went too far? I think you became the thing you were fighting against. Tessa and Grant were selfish and cruel. So you became selfish and cruel in response. Now everyone's damaged, including your daughter. What should I have done? Just accepted it? Let them get away with destroying our family? You should have been better than them. That's what separates the good guys from the bad guys. The good guys don't become monsters to fight monsters. His words sting because they echo Chloe's criticism. But I'm not ready to admit I was wrong. Easy to say when it's not your life being destroyed. Mike, I've seen a lot of good men make bad choices because they were hurt and angry. You're not the first, and you won't be the last. But you still have a chance to be better. How? Take Tessa's deal. End this thing with dignity. Focus on rebuilding your relationship with Chloe. And let Grant off the hook? Grant's career is already over. His marriage is destroyed. His reputation is ruined. How much more punishment does he need? That afternoon, I call Tessa and accept her offer. We meet at her lawyer's office to finalize the divorce settlement. She gets the house and a small cash payment. I keep the restaurant and most of our assets. It's incredibly generous on her part, and we both know it. Thank you, she says as we leave the lawyer's office. Thank you for making it easy. Will you talk to Chloe? She misses you, even if she won't admit it. I'll try. And Grant? What about him? Will you leave him alone now? I consider the question. Grant's career is destroyed, his marriage is over, and his reputation is in ruins. Continuing to attack him would serve no purpose except cruelty. I'll leave him alone. Thank you. We shake hands on the courthouse steps, and 23 years of marriage officially ends. But as I drive home, I don't feel victorious or vindicated. I feel tired and empty and alone. That evening, Chloe calls. Dad, Mom says you're getting divorced. Yes. Are you okay? I'm fine. Are you? I don't know. This whole thing has been hard. I know. I'm sorry you got caught in the middle. I'm sorry, too, for some of the things I said. You were hurting, and I should have been more understanding. You were right, though. I did become someone cruel. You became someone angry. There's a difference. Is there? Yeah. Angry people can change. Cruel people choose not to. We talk for an hour, carefully rebuilding the bridge that my revenge campaign nearly destroyed. It's not perfect, but it's a start. After we hang up, I sit in my kitchen and take stock of my life. My marriage is over, but it was over long before the divorce papers were signed. My restaurant is struggling, but it's mine and it's honest work. My relationship with Chloe is damaged, but it's repairable. And Grant Whitford? His career is destroyed, his marriage is over, and his reputation is ruined. He got exactly what he deserved. But as I sit alone in my empty house, I wonder if getting exactly what he deserved was worth becoming someone my daughter couldn't recognize. The war is over. I won. So why does victory taste so bitter? 3 months after the divorce is finalized, I'm starting to rebuild my life. The restaurant is slowly recovering, Chloe and I are talking regularly, and I've even started dating. Nothing serious, just coffee with Sarah, the librarian who comes in for lunch twice a week. Then Grant Whitford walks into the Copper Kettle on a Tuesday afternoon. He looks terrible. The silver-haired sophisticate has been replaced by a hollow-eyed man in a wrinkled shirt and cheap jeans. His confidence is gone, replaced by the desperate energy of someone with nothing left to lose. We need to talk, he says, sliding into a booth in the back corner. I pour myself a coffee and join him, curious despite myself. You destroyed my life. He begins without preamble. You destroyed mine first. I fell in love with your wife. You systematically dismantled everything I'd built over 20 years. I exposed the truth about who you really are. Everything that happened after that was a consequence of your own actions. Grant laughs bitterly. Do you really believe that? Do you really think you were some righteous crusader for justice? I think I was a man who refused to be a victim. You were a man who became a monster, says the guy who stole another man's wife. I didn't steal anything. Tessa chose me, just like she chose to leave me when things got difficult. That gets my attention. Tessa left you? 2 months ago, moved to Portland, started over with a new name and a new life. Didn't she tell you? She didn't. Tessa and I haven't spoken since the divorce was finalized. She realized what I realized too late, Grant continues, that you turned us into something ugly, that our love became twisted by your need for revenge. Your love was already twisted. I just exposed it. Was it? Or did we become what you needed us to be to justify what you did to us? The question hangs between us like smoke. I don't have a good answer. What do you want, Grant? I want you to know what you've accomplished. My restaurant is gone. My career is over. My marriage is destroyed. I'm living in a studio apartment above a pawn shop, working as a line cook at Denny's. And I want you to know that it wasn't worth it. Whatever satisfaction you got from destroying me, it wasn't worth what it cost you. What did it cost me? Your daughter's respect, your own integrity, your chance to be the better man. Grant stands to leave, then turns back. You know what the funny thing is? I actually respected you before all this started. You were everything I wasn't, honest, hardworking, loyal, but you threw all that away to become just like me. After he leaves, I sit alone in the empty restaurant, processing his words. Part of me wants to dismiss them as the desperate ramblings of a broken man, but part of me recognizes the truth in what he said. I did become something ugly in my pursuit of justice. I did sacrifice my integrity for revenge. And while I won the war, I'm not sure I like who I became in the process. That evening, I call Elena. We haven't spoken since our awkward conversation at the coffee shop, but I need to understand something. Michael, this is a surprise. Grant came to see me today. Oh, how is he? Destroyed. Completely and utterly destroyed. Living above a pawn shop, working at Denny's. Good. He deserves it. Does he? I mean, yes, he had an affair with my wife. But did he deserve to have his entire life obliterated? Silence on the other end of the line. Elena? I think about that sometimes, late at night when I can't sleep, whether we went too far. And what conclusion do you reach? That it doesn't matter. What's done is done. We can't undo it and we can't change the past. All we can do is move forward. Do you regret it? I regret that it was necessary, but I don't regret doing it. Grant and Tessa made their choices. We just made sure those choices had consequences. Even if those consequences destroyed innocent people along with the guilty ones? What innocent people? Chloe. Elena's children. The employees at Grant's restaurant who lost their jobs. Collateral damage. It's unfortunate, but it wasn't our responsibility. Wasn't it? No, Michael. It was Grant and Tessa's responsibility. They started this war. We just finished it. After I hang up, I realize that Elena and I have fundamentally different perspectives on what we did. She sees it as justified punishment for wrongdoing. I'm starting to see it as something more complicated and morally ambiguous. The next day, I'm surprised to receive a visit from Tom Morrison, Tessa's former boss. Michael, good to see you, he says, settling into a booth. How's business? Steady. What brings you by? I wanted to talk to you about Tessa. What about her? I know what happened between you two. The affair, the divorce, the aftermath. But I also know Tessa was a good employee for 8 years before all this started. Okay. She's applied for a position with a firm in Portland. They called me for a reference. And I'm inclined to give her a positive one. Despite how things ended, she was talented and hardworking. Everyone deserves a second chance. I agree. Tom looks surprised. You do? Tessa made mistakes, big ones. But she's not evil. If she's trying to rebuild her life, I hope she succeeds. That's generous of you. It's realistic. Hating her doesn't serve any purpose except making me bitter. Tom nods approvingly. I'll give her a good reference. After he leaves, I realize I meant what I said. The anger that drove my revenge campaign has faded, replaced by something closer to indifference. Tessa is part of my past now, and I'm more interested in my future. That weekend, Chloe visits for the first time since the divorce. She's graduated high school and is preparing for college in the fall. The house feels empty without Mom, she observes, looking around our living room. It is empty without her, but it's also peaceful. Do you miss her? I miss the woman I married, but that woman disappeared years ago. I don't miss the person she became. Do you think you'll ever forgive her? I think I already have. Forgiveness isn't about excusing what someone did. It's about releasing your need to punish them for it. Chloe studies my face. You seem different. Calmer. I feel different. Like I've finally let go of something heavy I'd been carrying around. The anger? The need to be right. The need for everyone to acknowledge that I was wronged. It's exhausting carrying that much resentment. What changed your mind? Grant came to see me. He's completely broken, Chloe. Living in poverty, working a minimum wage job, destroyed in every way that matters. And seeing him like that didn't make me feel victorious. It made me feel sad. Sad for him? Sad for all of us. For what we became, what we did to each other, what we lost along the way. We sit in comfortable silence, father and daughter reconnecting after months of estrangement. I'm proud of you, Dad, Chloe says finally. For what? For being willing to change, for recognizing when you'd gone too far, for choosing to be better. I'm still learning how to be better. It's harder than being angry. But it's worth it? Ask me in a year. That evening, after Chloe leaves, I sit on my back porch with a beer, watching the sunset over Ashfield. The town looks peaceful in the golden light, like a Norman Rockwell painting of small-town America. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. This is Grant. I wanted to thank you for what you said to Tom Morrison about Tessa. It was kind of you. I stare at the message for a long time before responding. Everyone deserves a second chance, including you. I don't know if I believe that anymore. Then fake it until you do. That's what I'm doing. How's that working out? Better than revenge, not as satisfying in the short term, but more sustainable long term. I'm sorry, Michael, for everything. I'm sorry too. We don't exchange any more messages, but somehow the conversation feels complete. 6 months later, the Copper Kettle is thriving. Word of mouth has spread about the authentic local experience, and we're booked solid most weekends. I've hired 2 new servers and a part-time cook. Sarah and I are officially dating now, taking things slow but steady. She's kind and intelligent and has no interest in changing me into someone I'm not. Chloe calls from college every Sunday, sharing stories about her classes and her new friends. She's studying business with a minor in hospitality management. She wants to help me expand the restaurant eventually. And Tessa? I heard through the grapevine that she got the job in Portland and is doing well. She's dating someone new, an accountant, apparently. Someone stable and boring and completely unlike Grant Whitford. Elena moved to Boston and started over as well. We exchanged Christmas cards, but nothing more. Our partnership in revenge served its purpose, but it wasn't a foundation for anything lasting. Grant, as far as I know, is still in Ashfield, still working at Denny's, still trying to figure out how to rebuild a life from nothing. Part of me feels guilty about that. Part of me thinks he brought it on himself. Mostly, I try not to think about him at all. The truth is, I won the war. Tessa and Grant faced consequences for their actions. Justice, of a sort, was served. But victory came at a cost. I'm still calculating. I became someone I didn't recognize in pursuit of that victory. I sacrificed relationships, integrity, and peace of mind for the satisfaction of revenge. And while I don't regret holding them accountable, I do regret the methods I used and the person I became in the process. Ray was right. There's a difference between justice and revenge. Justice restores balance. Revenge creates more imbalance. Justice heals wounds. Revenge creates new ones. I created a lot of new wounds in my quest for justice. Some have healed. Others are still healing. A few may never heal completely. But I learned something valuable in the process. Winning isn't always worth the cost of victory. Sometimes the real victory is knowing when to stop fighting. Sometimes the real victory is choosing to be better than the people who wronged you. Sometimes the real victory is finding peace instead of seeking revenge. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, you get a second chance to be the man you always thought you were. I'm still working on that last part. But for the first time in years, I'm optimistic about my chances. After all, everyone deserves a second chance. Even me.